What's going on, Workforce? Brian here, and today we actually have a lot to discuss regarding Final Fantasy XIV. Yoshi-P gave many question and answers interviews on the Japanese servers, and one of the things that's really great about just the internet and this community is that folks over on Reddit were able to take this information and translate it. And then folks over at GamerEscape were able to consolidate this information and group it. So if you guys haven't seen the breakdown that I know GamerEscape has done, I'll be sure to include the links to these articles below. Lots of really interesting information, and we're going to cover that today. But before we begin, I just want to let you guys know that obviously the next live letter has been scheduled, and it's set for the 19th of January. With this, we're going to see the part 2 of 4.2. We're going to get obviously the final bits of information. We're probably going to see some in-game gameplay with the with the trials and with everything else. So that's going to be coming up pretty quickly. The thing about it is that it's not there's not much January left between then and when patch 4.2 drops. So I'm already getting excited. I know that I'm trying to, level up and make sure that I've got my tomes and gear ready so I can dive into the next phase of the Omega Raid, which I'm very excited to experience. But with all of that out of the way, I want to go and cover some of the bits and pieces from the interview that I found was interesting and I wanted to share with you. So the first question, will Black Mage become stronger? If you look at the DPS alone, Black Mages are already really strong. But with the adjustments, they will allow them to be used more comfortably. This is interesting because I'm leveling up Black Mage right now, and I like the changes they made in Stormblood, but there's still little things that I'm like, man, this would be great. Will we ever see a fourth role other than the DPS? For the meantime, we're going to be sticking with 3 roles. Honestly, I don't see them really making big changes to that kind of Trinity system for a long time, if at all. Any changes planned for Monk? We have various changes in the works for job adjustments, so please wait for further announcements. Several jobs will be getting adjusted. So there's not a yes or no with this, but they already did comment specifically that some changes are coming for Black Mage. So I'm wondering how many jobs are going to get and see these type of adjustments. Any adjustments to Scholars? Scholars are behind the other 2 healers, so I'm hoping they get better. Scholars are not behind. How about Machinists? Huh? There's nothing wrong with Machinist either. Can you make it so the Dragon Sight isn't cut off when the other player moves out of range? We're considering this now. When are you adding new tanks and healers? I cannot say anything about new jobs or else I'd lose my life. They might even need to erase the Anima server to hide the secret. You said you didn't add any tanks to the expansion because you wanted to focus on the balance between the 3 tanks. But I'd like to hear your opinion on how Paladins are considered mandatory for endgame content. The tanks and other roles will have a variety of adjustments in 4.2, so please wait for further details. So if the tanks all 3 are getting an adjustment, that is interesting in and of itself. Can you spend more time talking about in details on gatherers and crafters during live letters? Gatherers and crafters don't have their own specific content, so we can't talk about it for a long time. We can touch on the topic a few other times if we get the questions. And then 2 just other comments that there are no plans on having split jobs like Arcanist and Scholar and Summoner in the future, which kind of makes sense. It is disappointing. I did like that kind of idea, but obviously it didn't really play out the way they wanted it to. And then there also will be more Eggy Glamours in the future, so please look forward to it. We've been looking forward to that one for a long time. It was released in 3.5, and they said, hey, with every patch we're going to see it. Or maybe I'm assuming that. But, hey, alright, we're going to get some more Eggy Glamours. Regarding instance content, can you please make more 8-man dungeons? It won't be an 8-man dungeon, but we are planning difficult 4-man content instead. I don't know how I feel about this. I do love 8-man dungeons, and it's disappointing to see this. Now, what do they mean by challenging and difficult 4-man dungeon content? Or, I don't know. I'd love to know your thoughts there. I want 8-man content so we can farm casually as a group. I have received your request. Can you improve the adventure and need bonus? We are continuing to discuss it. Can you make the daily roulette into tickets so that we can save them up? Allowing a player to stack daily tickets is actually a pretty troublesome topic, because some players will think I have too many saved up that I can't be bothered doing them anymore. If we don't leave the dailies as dailies, humans are designed not to do them anymore. This is an interesting topic. I like where he was going with it, the ability to, be able to run a lot of stuff back to back to back. From one perspective, that would and could solve some, tanking options where, I have no reason to go and run a leveling roulette on a tank, but maybe I would like to do them back to back to back and gain a lot of experience and get a lot of bonuses like on the weekend if I couldn't do them daily. But Yoshi-P's comment is that, yeah, taking that away kind of takes away that incentive to log in and to play, which having that continual login and that relationship is better for the game in the long run. I don't know. I'd love to know your thoughts there. Is it difficult to allow us to take our Chocobo companions into dungeons? Now that we have squadrons, this isn't out of the possibility anymore. Here's the interesting thing. Chocobos are considered more of a pet now, which you can call out, and they're not going to conflict with party member slots. So that would be so cool to be able to go into a dungeon and also have your Chocobo along with your other party members in and of itself. Love to see more AI, I guess more logic brought into your Chocobo, maybe some more customization. But at the end of the day, I'd actually really more or less rather take my squadron or a squad mate into a dungeon or any type of content that I want. But that's just me. Is there anything you can tell us about Eureka? People will have misunderstandings if we only reveal a portion of the info, so please wait a little bit longer. Ooh, man, you're making me wait a long time, Yoshi-P. Will the 4.2 adjustments to maps include Aquapolis? Yes, the adjustments include the item level sync, amount of loot, and the drop rates of the maps that you get inside. This is cool. I don't run Aquapolis anymore, but it would be neat to see some changes there. Is there going to be another deep dungeon? We are still developing the next deep dungeon. Honestly, I don't expect this until 4.3 or 4.4. Hopefully not too much longer after that, but you never know. Will you add the Ultimate Series to the Raid Finder in the future? I don't think we will. By the way, we were already developing the next Ultimate content, and we were just talking about what the boss for the Ultimate difficulty after that will be. What do you guys want to see? I want to have more info on Sigma, aka the next Omega Raid. Just like datacenters, Sigma is going to be an interesting battle, so please look forward to it. For players who started playing after watching the Dad of Light, content like Diadem is unplayable now, you know? It's hard to decide if we should touch it or just close it. We are currently putting all our resources into Eureka, so Diadem is back in the line when it comes to priority. If we do close Diadem, we'll put the minions and mounts as rewards that you can obtain somewhere else. Now this is incredibly interesting, a little bit disheartening and concerning, but also, okay, makes sense, right? Nobody's running Diadem, there's no incentive, and the concept of it is it's this zone in this area that's just off on its own, and yes, it matches you with 8 people, and thus it's expecting you to have that from a balancing perspective. But why not just make it a zone that you can enter? Why not make it just an open area that you can go and adventure in? And yeah, you're going to want to take friends, but instead of closing it down, just make it more accessible. Make it an area that is accessible to us. That's just my opinion. I'd love to see some of the concept, that they brought into the Diadem, brought into just the open world in and of itself. That this is one of the things that I guess I've harped on enough, and I'm not going to do it in this video. But that's just my thoughts. I'd love to know yours. Sound off below, guys. There's so much more that we got to cover here right now. Can we have a booking system where we can book certain content with specifications and let it notify us when something like that matches all the conditions pops up in the party finder? That sounds incredibly difficult. Can you provide an instance area for events hosted by players where you can join from any data center? I don't mind if I have to book it in advance and it takes a lot of time to load. We are considering having maps for user events, so please give us more time. So this sounds like kind of with maps and treasure hunting from a cross-world server perspective, like the instance dungeons allow us to do this, but it seems like they're wanting to be able to do this type of content with people across the data center, which sounds like a good idea. And it seems like they're looking at doing this for maps, treasure maps, etc., which would be great. Because then, especially when you get into the advanced treasure maps, like Aquapolis and Uzanar, that's instance content, and that could play out really well if they decide to do it that way. So a few other notes. They are considering discussing having a normal raid 8-man roulette. Note Omega normal and Alexander normal, and they're considering to show who vote kicked you. And they're still testing the feature where you can participate in instance battles like the MSQ solo instances that you have already cleared. They are looking into explore the possibility of having hints written into the dungeons, but the translation is still so difficult. And it's still far off, but they would like to think about new 24-man content, and you'll see some new bosses from GamerEscape in the new trailer. So this is just kind of wrapping up the instance content itself. So regarding PvP content, I heard you're going to fix the everyone go to center problem of rival wings. But are you also considering fixing the north side of the map so that it's being easier to protect and difficult to attack? We are planning a lot of changes to rival wings, so please wait for those changes. We don't have much we can buy with Wolfmarks. Are there any plans to add something? Please wait a little longer. Bummer. Hurry up and fix Rival Wings. Blue team is too disadvantaged. We are working on it, including changes to the center generator. Each role on the feast has an enormous gap between each other when it comes to how much weight they can carry, and it's weird how all roles are on the same ranking board. Are we always going to have one ranking board? I see, it's a bit troublesome. We are prioritizing balancing PvP as a group, and as soon as that's done, I'll have discussions with the team in charge. Rival Wings is really popular, so I want you to expand on this mode, like maybe new maps? We would love to adjust Rival Wings and create another map for the mode in the future. So that's pretty much expected. I'm very excited to see that. One of the things I think would make all of this type of PvP content way more accessible is that if there were multiple maps, like when you go into Rival Wings, like you have, you might queue into 5 or 10 different maps, and it's going to pick one of those, and then you go and you play the game in and of itself. But it'll probably take a little while to get there. So additional comments regarding PvP. So they won't have GVG, essentially guild versus guild, for a while. So not saying they're not going to have it. That'd be neat. They're also planning a new map for Steel Rock, but it's going to take some time. So regarding how strong healers are in Rival Wings, nobody will want to play as a healer if they are not that strong. So sounds like healers aren't getting adjustments. So healers, go nuts. Rival Wings for the win. Oh man. So some system related stuff here. Can you allow us to set fill markers by specifying the axis? We do want to make the ground targets and markets placeable with macros of that sort, but there's a lot we have to prioritize first. Now that we have shared macros, can you allow us to have shared HUD layouts? It would help if you use the copy paste feature instead. Bummer. I want you to allow us to move hotbars from PC to PS4 and vice versa. And they are currently planning PC and PS4 in the Net Cafe adaptations, so please wait for further news. And my hope with this is, honestly, I really want to see them allow you to save it to the cloud. Just here, let me push this here, and then I can download it. So I go to the PlayStation, I just download my settings, I go to the PC, download, push out, etc. It worked really well in 11, and it was even allowed me to download all my 11 stuff when I went back and played a little bit in November, which was great. And he plans on improving the targeting system for PS4, aka the controller. When it comes to gamepads, unfortunately that's the limit. The only other way about allowing players to have more options, like precisely setting the range you choose targets from. So I don't know if we're going to see any expansions on there, but again, I don't really think it's a struggle. You do have to play with your filters, and I think once you kind of get that comfort level, you should be okay. Again, if you don't have anything targeted, pressing like X or A on an Xbox controller will automatically focus you right on the correct target. So X on PlayStation, A on PS4, and as long as it's like from who you're facing, so the direction you're facing, and it seems to work out okay. Obviously, you have a lot of control on with the mouse and keyboard, but for me, I just love the controller. So if there are players out there who are really struggling with this, let me know, and we can see if we can't do some tweaking and figuring that out together. Additional comments. We're planning on allowing players to have more favorite crystals for teleporting after doing something. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The reason why you can't customize the position of pop-up text and system text is they don't want players to miss it. And so if you don't know, whenever like something sells on the market boards or whatever, you'll see this little blue pop-up text. It's right in the center of everything. It can be kind of annoying, but I get where they're going from. They canceled an idea about merging data centers and shuffling them because they have too many players now. So they do have the technology to show videos in-game, but they couldn't get the streaming stuff to work. If someone develops a great way to allow it, we'll ride on that wagon. So this kind of is referencing the idea that there's people who have live letter watching parties in-game, and they're hanging out in like their house, watching the live letter and talking about it. And so that's a 2-monitor setup. So here they've talked about, well, how cool would it be able to kind of stream that into the game itself? And so it looks like they can play video, but they can't yet get the streaming thing down. So who knows? We'll have to see what happens if that happens at some point in time. That's definitely interesting at that point. Well, everybody, there is a lot more here. Housing, mounts, minions, story. I recommend, again, checking out the links below, giving, GamerEscape some love. They do a lot of work for the community, and they do a great job. And so I'm loosely affiliated with them. I'm on the 8th Right Radio podcast, so I will make that clear. But for the most part, these guys are fans, they are driven, and they love to put this stuff together. And there is a lot here that we didn't cover, and nor would we have the time. I think this would be like an hour-long video if we literally just went through each and every question and answer regarding all these other things. But for that and for Work to Game, my name's Brian. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope to see everybody next, but until then, take care.
Hey, it's me. Thanks so much for watching this video.
you should click here to subscribe and here to maybe check out some more of our videos. So again, thanks for watching. We hope you like this video. We hope you subscribe and join our community. Let us know in the comments below what you think, and we'll see you next time.